this is a bit more of a feminist Belle. Could you tell us a bit about how that character's been developed?
It was just kind of like filling in a bit of her backstory and seeing and having a few more moments where she interacts with the town where she lives before she goes to the castle to meet Beast. And we have a couple of scenes where she's trying to teach a girl in the village how to read, and it's sort of really looked down upon. There's a really kind of like anti-intellectual feeling within the village that reading isn't for girls and shouldn't be allowed for girls, and going to school shouldn't be allowed for girls, which we still see the world over. There's this very progressive, defiant Belle that clearly wants to empower herself and to empower other girls that she sees living where she lives, and she wants more for them than just to marry the village Gaston.
Today, we are launching a campaign called He for She. I am reaching out to you because we need your help. We want to end gender inequality, and to do this, we need everyone involved. This is the first campaign of its kind at the UN. We want to try and galvanize as many men and boys as possible to be advocates for change. I decided that I was a feminist, and this seemed uncomplicated to me. But my recent research has shown me that feminism has become an unpopular word. Women are choosing not to identify as feminist. Apparently, I am among the ranks of women whose expressions are seen as too strong, too aggressive, isolating, and anti-men, unattractive even. Why has the word become such an uncomfortable one?
I guess I really wanted to communicate that gender equality historically has been predominantly a women's movement for women. But I think the impact of gender inequality and how it's actually been affecting men hasn't really been addressed. So I really wanted to make that one of the clearest messages in my speech. And I think also our society in general devalues the she. And when I say that, I mean qualities that are associated with the feminine, which are found in all of us. And as a result, there's kind of this imbalance and this distortion, and it's just hindering our progress. It's causing discrimination and violence and pain and fear the world over, all the way, all over. And I just wanted to desensitize people to the issues and make them feel that they could be part of the problem and that they can make a difference, and to give people a voice and a platform with which to do that, with which to make change.
I feel it is my responsibility to say something. Statesman Edmund Burke said, "All that is needed for the forces of evil to triumph is for good men and women to do nothing." In my nervousness for this speech, and in my moments of doubt, I've told myself firmly, if not me, who? If not now, when?
For the students who may not know, what is intersectionality? Can you define that for us?
Well, I have to practice my elevator version of it, but intersectionality is basically the idea that we experience life, sometimes discrimination, sometimes benefits, based on a number of different identities that we have. The basic term came out of a case where I was looking at black women who were being discriminated against, not just as black people, not just as women, but as black women. So intersectionality was basically a metaphor to say, well, they've got race discrimination that they're facing coming from one direction, they've got gender discrimination coming from another direction, and they're colliding in their lives in ways that we don't really anticipate and understand. So intersectionality is basically meant to help people think about the fact that discrimination can happen on the basis of several different factors at the same time. And we need to have a language and ability to see it in order to address it.
I think it is right that women be involved on my behalf in the policies and the decisions that will affect my life. I think it is right that socially I am afforded the same respect as men. But sadly, I can say that there is no one country in the world where all women can expect to receive these rights. No country in the world can yet say that they have achieved gender equality. The reality is that if we do nothing, it will take 75 years, or for me to be nearly 100, before women can expect to be paid the same as men. 15.5 million girls will be married in the next 16 years as children. And at current rates, it won't be until 2086 before all rural African girls can have a secondary education.
I think in illustrating that story, it was about looking at the things that girls like Belle had to contend with and have to contend with, and so the Beast and Gaston and all of the characters really, you know, the magistrate and the town who thinks you're, you know, an upstart woman.
Yes.
You know, we were all there to sort of represent all of these different challenges that girls like Belle face.
Overcome, yeah.
Quite a lot of discussion about gender equality in the developing world, and that's obviously a huge problem, as we mentioned earlier, about the traditional route in many countries would be for boys to go to school, secondary school, girls not to.
And the fact that this is still going on, you know, the world over, really something that really needs to be addressed. But I guess I'd just say, how and why are you not recognizing the potential of that girl? We need yin and yang. We need that balance, and we need female representation. We need female leadership. Women have so much to offer. We're such an untapped part of this world. So much potential.
I think change is really difficult, and fighting against a system which is already in place is much harder than going along with the status quo. So it's not going to be it's a bumpy ride. It's not an easy one. Ultimately, the fact that Belle gets to choose her own destiny and that she is in the driver's seat of her own life, even though it probably feels like the odds are completely against her and can feel a bit sort of like lonely and a bit overwhelming at times, you know, ultimately serves her in the long run, and looking at the bigger picture of her life and who she is. So I guess she's a lesson in persistence and grit and sticking to your guns and seeing things through.
For example, after I gave my speech in September, I wasn't going to talk about this, but it's coming up. You know, there was a website that was set up threatening to release naked photographs of me, you know, with like a countdown and whatever else. And I knew it was a hoax. I knew the pictures didn't exist. But I think a lot of people that were close to me knew gender equality was an issue, but they didn't really think it was that urgent, or particularly, you know, we live in Great Britain. You know, this is a thing of the past. You know, oppression of women. It's sort of, we're fine, aren't we? We're good. We've got far enough. And then when they saw that the minute I stepped up and talked about women's rights, I was immediately threatened. I mean, within less than 12 hours, I was receiving threats.
I think it just always reveals to me how many misconceptions and what a misunderstanding that there is of what feminism is. Feminism is about giving women choice. Feminism is not a stick with which to beat other women with. It's about freedom. It's about liberation. It's about equality. I really don't know what my tits have to do with it.
If not me, who? If not now, when? Thank you very, very much.
There goes the baker with his tray, like always. The same old bread and rolls to sell. Every morning just the same, since the morning that we came to this war-prevention